So, Omega is the latest update in a long line of free updates added to No Man's Sky, and it has given us the brand new Omega Expedition, the ability to defeat and demand control of pirate freighters, amongst a few other things. Now, whilst updates like these are very much welcomed by the No Man's Sky community, and long may they continue by the way, this update is a little different, and I think it signifies the start to some bad news for No Man's Sky. So let's get stuck in as to why. Now, the main part of the Omega update is really a new expedition and the fact you can start them from the anomaly and then take some resources and technology components with you. And sure, some of the rewards we can get from this expedition are in fact very good. Like, I love the new helmet and I love the new jetpack, but I can't help but notice this Omega update is small in comparison to other updates which have their own trailer and emoji and all that of stuff. Now, with Omega, we also get the ability to capture our very own pirate freighter. But pirate freighter battles aren't a brand new thing in No Man's Sky, evidenced here by some footage I captured a few months ago, because I've not got too much footage of the brand new pirate freighter battles, but it's not even that much different. Now, you can demand control of them, like I said, which is pretty cool, and we also have some brand spanking new planetary missions we could do, which is an overdue update in itself. And it all sounds fine and dandy, doesn't it? But this is where the worrying signs start to slip in. So, let's get straight to the elephant in the room. Where are the brand new space stations that were teased by Hello Games themselves back in December? In the video they put out going over the 10th anniversary of No Man's Sky being revealed. Now, one would think, and I quite rightly assume, that these would be included as part of the first major update of 2024 because, well, they've been shown off already very briefly. I've seen a lot of people asking the same question of their whereabouts as well ever since we got our hands on the Omega update. This does beg the question of, was the Omega update released too early for the space stations to be ready, or were the new space stations never going to be included as part of it in the first place? And if it's the latter of the two, then why on earth would Hello Games tease new space stations in the first place? Now, I could be wrong here, so correct me in the comments if I am, but Hello Games have never before teased a new feature for No Man's Sky before the update has actually come out. So, what's going on? Hello Games said 2024 was going to be huge for No Man's Sky, but this is probably the smallest, in quotes, major update we've had in quite a while. Like, if you look back at previous years, the first update of the year is usually significantly bigger. Last year in 2023, the first update we got was the Fractal update, which gave us a new starship and a new expedition, which sounds similar to the Omega update, right? Well, yeah, but Fractal also gave us a vastly improved overhaul of the VR experience, which was timed for the PSVR 2 release. It also included many gameplay improvements, amongst other things. And if you go back to 2022, the first update of the year was the Sentinel update, which included an overhaul to Sentinels, the ability to have our very own AI mech, Sentinel pillars, brand new Royal multi-tools, a shed load of performance and visual updates, a new expedition, amongst other things. So, as you can see, in the grand scheme of things, and especially in relation to previous No Man's Sky updates, Omega is a rather small update. Like, of course, I get there is a new expedition, which is nice because you get some great rewards, but we already had pirate freighter battles, and now the only difference is we can just take control of them, which isn't that big. Now, we can also do some new planetary missions, but again, it's not a major update. We're also teased new space stations, which I would argue probably would be a very major update, and they are clearly nowhere to be seen. So, what's going on? Now, bear in mind, this is the first real update to the game since Echoes, which came out 6 months ago. I mean, we've had some holiday replayable expeditions, but we get that every year. So that, along with the Omega being a generally small update and the noticeable lack of new space stations, even though they were teased, which is the first feature ever teased before an update, which then didn't arrive in said update, they pose worrying questions. And those are No Man's Sky updates being slowly wound down, or are we nearly at No Man's Sky's final form? There is, of course, possibly a blindingly obvious explanation to those questions, which I'll get onto in just a minute, but the current situation does point towards the answers to both of those questions being yes. No Man's Sky updates are getting smaller and slowly being wound down, and yes, No Man's Sky will reach a point in the near future when it will no longer get any major updates. and it will just be maintained in its current form. Now, a disclaimer here, I'm not suggesting that either of those things will happen. Lord knows I want No Man's Sky to receive these major updates for years to come, but the warning signs are now there, clear as day. It's been nearly 8 years since the release of No Man's Sky, and it still provides updates to legacy hardware like the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. There are in fact rumours out there that the PlayStation 4 itself will stop receiving major support from Sony in 2025. So surely Hello Games can't also support a console not supported by its own creator, right? By stop supporting it, I do of course mean it won't receive any more updates, but it will remain online, usable and fully functional. It's not going to be shut down completely. Obviously, it'll just remain in its final state, but not gain any new updates. Now, on to the reason why I think No Man's Sky is being wound down slowly, like I just mentioned, and that is of course probably down to Hello Games' latest exciting announcement, Light No Fire. Now, Light No Fire is going to be their first major release since No Man's Sky itself, and now that the world knows about it, perhaps the main focus of Hello Games has now shifted from No Man's Sky to Light No Fire. Now, we know Hello Games are a small team. We know, even though they can afford to upsize, that they'd like to keep it a small team, and that means they probably just don't have the manpower to develop major No Man's Sky updates in parallel to finishing off Light No Fire, and then of course providing updates for that. Sure, they will continue to provide smaller updates for No Man's Sky, much like the Omega update, but personally, I'm no longer expecting updates the size of, say, Echoes, and especially no updates the size of, like, Origins, for example. Now, Hello Games knew they made mistakes in the past with the launch of No Man's Sky. It was announced nearly 3 years before it was actually released, and major promises were made which just didn't come to fruition until years after its actual release. Now, they have since learnt their lesson, and they are planning for a much shorter release window between announcement and release for Light No Fire, which means it'll either be released at the back end of 2024, which is quite unlikely, or more likely it'll be released next year in 2025. Now, that sounds like a while away, but games the size of Light No Fire take years to develop and perfect. And they'll be damned sure it won't release in a state not fit for it, because they're no longer being pressured by Sony or anyone else to do so. So, of course, this means likely that their main focus has indeed shifted from No Man's Sky and to Light No Fire. We all knew that a day would come when we get the last ever major update for No Man's Sky, and I believe it'll be sooner rather than later. My prediction is that the last major update for No Man's Sky will come just before the release of Light No Fire, or maybe just after, I don't know, one of the two. And once that has been released, we'll get maybe the odd expedition and patch fixes, but no more major content updates. Which makes me sad because, don't get me wrong, I love No Man's Sky and I want it to continue for years to come with major updates, but the reality is, it'll have to end at some point. And if you want me to be even more cryptic, Omega is the final letter in the Greek alphabet, and it is often used to denote the last, the end, or the ultimate limit of a set. Could just be me delving far too deep into the naming, or it could have a hidden meaning. Who knows? Now that I've gone over all of that, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think No Man's Sky updates are slowly being wound down in terms of size for Light No Fire? And secondly, what do you think about Hello Games teasing the new space stations only for them to be nowhere to be seen when they release the Omega update? Let me know in the comments. And there you have it, folks. There is my take on the Omega update and what it could possibly mean for the future of No Man's Sky. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're still here, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. You can now also become a channel member as well, and as always, thank you for watching this video, and I shall catch you in the next one.